Today we have Susie Waloch Leisten with us. She's a personal trainer and a group fitness instructor. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Susie, we're going to focus in on working with seniors.
Okay.
So tell us why it's so important for our aging adults to stay active.
Well, there's a couple reasons, and one is not only is it good for their physical well-being, there's also a mental component to this as well. The long-term health benefits of staying active and being physically moving, keeping your bodies moving. It can help with that, the long-term benefits, as well as maybe somebody that's already got an issue, maybe some disabilities, maybe some illnesses they're dealing with. Hopefully that can make their lives a little bit better as well.
Awesome. What's the difference between an exercise program and physical activity? How do you see that differential?
Exercise programs are more structured, more repetitive, maybe like a weight training program or a class, maybe somebody taking a class, a yoga class, a light aerobic class, more structure to it. Physical activity is more the things that you do in your everyday life. Maybe if you're athletic, some people are golfers, some people play tennis, but then you got to think about climbing up and down stairs that become, more taxing is the word I'm looking for as you get older. Playing with your grandchildren, lifting them up, gardening, things that you like to do, your everyday life type activities.
Okay. So tell us a little bit more about Susie and what is your background in this and how long you've been doing it. What's your focus?
Well, I have been I started as a group exercise instructor, and I was 17 years old when I said, I want to teach classes, because my mom was teaching classes. She became an instructor. And I really started enjoying taking classes. So I thought, well, I'm going to do this too. And to this day, my mom is still teaching, and she just turned 79 years old, and she still teaches classes, five classes a week.
What classes?
She teaches step and weightlifting type classes, and like a combination.
Weightlifting?
Mm-hmm.
Free weights?
Yeah, well, in a classroom you use smaller weights and you do more repetitions, so it's not big, heavy things, but more of a toning type program.
Nice.
So I kind of followed in her footsteps, and now almost 38 years later, I still teach classes. And then as the teaching was going along, I thought, I really would like to work one-on-one with people as well. That's a different component. And so I started doing personal training. And just as the years progressed, I really enjoyed working with seniors because their focus is different. I don't want to train a bodybuilder or somebody that wants to look great in a bikini to go to Hawaii. These guys, the seniors, have so much more that they are focusing on.
They're so much more grateful.
They're so much more grateful. Honestly, that is absolutely
that's the honest
true.
Truth.
It really is. And they see it as, this is their health and their quality of life. And that's so important.
Committed.
And they're committed. They're committed. My seniors are committed more than anybody else.
So when are they coming to you because they've just had some type of, are they coming to you healthy, or are they coming to you like maybe they
needing
just
to get a little more healthy or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both, actually. I've started, people that became seniors, they weren't a senior when I started with them, and now they're a senior, right? Because I've had some of the same clients and students for so many years, because I've been in the same gyms for so long. So, yeah, and you see people ebb and flow, and, I just was telling Patty I had one of my clients get diagnosed with breast cancer, and that was, she was doing so good, and now she's been gone like 9 months, but she's starting back next week. So I'm very excited to get her back. And now there's a whole different slew of things we have to work on, because like neuropathy and things like that because of the chemotherapy. So we're adding that in now to her programming. So different focuses now for her.
Do you have specific training things you do for seniors for balance? Because that's a huge thing.
Huge. I do. And it can be very simple things, like having them, maybe they're doing a bicep curl, and I just have them, okay, lift one foot up. Not real high, but just take that one contact point away, so it just, gets their balance kind of trickling in there a little bit so they can kind of feel it. And, balance is so important because of seniors falling.
Exactly.
And that's huge. And what comes after a fall is the scary part. They can fall, they might break a hip. It's the hip breaking thing that seems to be so big. And then from there, sometimes, you've heard awful stories where they're in the hospital, they end up with pneumonia, they don't make it out of the hospital, and the next thing you know, you've lost somebody because they fell and broke their hip.
Exactly.
So that's a lot of, I work with balance even with my younger people as well, because you might as well start sooner rather than later.
Do you have a specific like class for just balance, or is it always incorporated with other things?
I don't have a specific class, but I always incorporate it, even in with my one-on-one people as well as in my group classes. And Pilates, we do a lot of balance work in a Pilates mat class. So, because you got your core going, and then you add in the balance, and just keep adding these little things into what you're doing, and it's one way to get it without them really knowing either.
I'm naive on Pilates. What is Pilates?
Pilates is a very, people like to say it's like yoga, but it's not. They're similar, but they're not similar. It is really focused on your core and keeping this body here is like, think of it as a tree trunk. And then you've got all these tree limbs on your body, and that you got to have this strong in order to keep everything else strong. So it's a lot of abdominals, a lot of back, anything that keeps you stable.
Okay.
And it was developed by a gentleman named Joseph Pilates. So the name came from a man's name back in the late 1800s.
Well, and there's a couple different kinds of Pilates. There's the mat Pilates, there's the reformer. So there's a couple different kinds as well.
Correct. So like mat Pilates, typically that's done in a group exercise studio the way I do it. And if you want to do things on the reformers, which are machines that allow you to do the mat exercise with resistance, then that comes into personal training, because you would pay extra to do that, where the mat Pilates classes are typically included in your, if you join a gym or whatnot.
So when you do personal training for seniors, can it be like 2 or 3 seniors who come to you and say, I feel better if I come as a group?
You absolutely can do that. It's really, that's fun too, because sometimes that will keep them committed,
some
right?
competition.
Like, okay, hey, I'm going to the gym. Are you guys going? It keeps them coming back. And then other people don't want to do that. They rather have the focus on them and work on what they need to work on.
Do you find that improving your clients' balance is helping with their daily activities?
Absolutely. Because think silly things that you take for granted. Walking up and down stairs. Well, that's scary for a lot of seniors. And just, picking up your grandchildren, most of them have grandchildren, lifting them up, you got to be strong, and you got to have balance to do that. And it also builds their confidence a little bit when they have good balance. And if they feel a little bit confident, they might say, I can reach that thing on the second shelf and come up on my toes, or I can walk on this uneven pavement and feel comfortable with myself. So it's a confidence builder as well.
Or if you're klutz like me, every time you trip, being able to catch yourself is a benefit instead of falling face first.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's probably senior citizens' biggest fear is falling.
There's no question about it.
No question. I'm being around older people all the time, I'm even worried for them. Like, I'm watching, and I make sure I'm very conscientious of what they're doing and where their placement is, so that I make sure there's no way they could possibly fall when they're with me, or, even going out the door of the gym. I follow them out there sometimes.
Yeah, well, just last week we were out, Rancho Bernardo, which is the hub of senior world, right?
Right.
And we were in this community, and this lady, she's got maybe like a 10-pound dog, and she's walking. Now, can I get up? Anyway, and she's walking, and she stops, and she has her feet spread like 3 feet apart, because her dog is starting to bark and pull her.
Right, so she's trying to brace herself.
And I'm going, oh my gosh, this is a recipe for, this is not a good thing. This was like a little dog. If she gets a bigger dog, we're in big trouble.
Right, yeah, hopefully she doesn't. Yeah, the other thing that's funny too, I was thinking about it, is when you see, when people get out of a chair. And I even do this in my classes now. So they usually have their feet like right underneath them. They try to get them as close, because they're going to launch themselves up. Well, look at which direction I'm going. If you bring your feet out a little bit further and give yourself a better base of support, now use your legs. So you're always strengthening their legs and stuff a lot. And I make them get up and down out of chairs as part of their exercise, because they fall coming out of a chair. Silly stuff.
Or potty.
Yes, absolutely. Sitting on the toilet. And I know now there's railings, and I know you can get higher toilets and things like that to help. But that's if you strengthen the legs and get your feet further away from the chair. Getting out of the car is another tough thing.
The cars, yeah.
Yeah, that's so hard. So the little things that I'm probably close to being a senior. I don't know what this age is anymore, but things that you take for granted as you're younger. And now
you have to really think about.
You have to think about now. Exactly.
So do you see an evolution? I mean, have you seen a lot of changes in the way we work with older adults over the last 5 to 10 years? Has technology played a part in this in terms of the apps and the websites and things like that to help seniors?
I am so non-tech savvy. I don't
You're
know
just
about
doing.
that.
You're out there doing it.
I'm doing, and I keep my education up, and I go to conferences once a year to learn new techniques and to see, and just keeping your eyes open. And really, it all comes back to the basics, though, is keeping your balance, keeping your strength, all that stuff that's so important. So however you can do that. Core. And that core has kind of been the big buzzword over the last few years.
Right.
You know, since Pilates got really big. It's always been around all these years, but then it soared all of a sudden, and people are like, wow, this is really good. I really need this.
I mean, now the hip surgery and the knee replacement surgery and the hip replacement surgery are just almost like, such common occurrences.
True.
Have you dealt with people in terms of setting up a program for people who are coming out of those surgeries?
I actually love that. And I'm willing to go with them to their physical therapy the last few sessions to see what they should and should not be doing. In fact, my dad is going to get his hip replaced here in the next couple months. He heard it, and he's stubborn, and 10 years ago, he hurt something that caused him, he thought he pulled like a groin muscle or something at the gym. Right? Well, he didn't do anything about it. Pretty soon, this thing atrophies or whatever happens. Now the hip is in the wrong position, so now he's bone on bone, and he's in miserable pain, and he's 79. I go, Dad, you're too young to be going through this. You got a lot of life left. And he's not doing his fun activities that he likes to do because of it. So I think
He'll be so happy.
Yeah,
Everybody I know who's had hip
I think-
replacement surgery wishes they had done it way sooner than they did.
I agree. I've heard that. They're like, why did I wait so long? I think there's fear there.
Right.
Oh,
Anytime
any
there's
surgery,
surgery,
yeah.
Right.
there's fear.
Right.
So, but yeah, everybody I've talked to said, oh, I don't know why I waited so long to do that.
So what will be the number one thing that he'll have to focus? I mean, core? Is it core going right back to core?
Core, yeah. Core is huge for everything because that'll help him to be able to get up. And and they'll have him doing all kinds of exercises. I work with a gentleman now who's in his mid-60s, and he had a hip replacement because he fell off his bike and just injured the hip and just never quite was right. And so I have him doing all kinds of balance stuff. And now load bearing on that leg that he had the hip replaced on, and it's amazing how far he's come. So they get it. I think too the way they do the surgeries these days is so much easier. It's not a big deal anymore like it used to be.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So
I'm still not a big fan of surgery, but
no, gosh, if you don't have to ever have it, great. But
Yeah.
if my hip or my knee went haywire and it was, I was not being able to
was
do
an
the things I
option.
love, when can I get in? Let's get this done.
So your dad is 79.
Yeah, both the parents are 79.
Yeah, they in San Diego.
They're in Vista. Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, great.
So
Okay.
my whole family's nice and local.
Oh, that's great. Well, I wish him well on that.
Thank
'cause,
you.
I mean, that's
he just
79
had his shoulder surgery. Now he's doing, he didn't have to have a replacement, but he had to have shoulder surgery, and now he's going to do the hip because that's been really
So
bugging him.
he's going to listen to you?
Probably not. I mean,
Because we can never get parents. I mean,
I know, isn't it the funniest thing? My sisters are both hairdressers, and he does not go to them to have his hair cut. He still goes to the barber.
God love you, Dad.
Well, lastly, why should a senior seek out a personal trainer or a fitness expert? Why would a senior even do that? Why would they not just go to the gym and do some weightlifting and maybe take a few classes? What would the benefit be of specifically working with a professional like yourself?
The benefit would be that I or whatever trainer could design a program that would be specific to their needs, their issues, whatever they're going through physically, whatever limitations they may have. And then when you put the person in a safe environment that's supervised, now you're going to reduce the risk of injury. And most seniors, they're looking to improve strength. They're looking to get their balance in check, maybe improve their motor skills, maybe from a medical standpoint. They might be trying to possibly, I don't want to take meds, I want to keep my cholesterol under control. Try to stay away from medications, and bone density is a big thing as well. So they can do all that, and a trainer can help them do that, and they can stay safe. They can go in and do weights and take classes, but the supervision that you get going one-on-one is so much more intense. And I think if that's what they feel they need, then I think it's a great idea for them to have a trainer. And the group, like you were mentioning earlier, to go in with a friend, they can team train, or 2 or 3 ladies come
commitment.
together. Or it's that commitment, and the other one saying, "Hey, I'm going to the gym. Let's go."
Well, I think it's hugely important, and again, if we could just get more of our isolated seniors to take that first step,
Right,
so to speak,
right.
to get out there. I mean, a little exercise gets the brain.
It's really good for the brain.
It's huge.
It's
I'm
huge
telling
for the
you.
brain. It's kind of our passion is to get. I mean, nutrition and exercise
Right, are huge.
are going to solve a lot of the world's ills if everybody could just get that morning exercise program going, or afternoon, whatever it is,
Right.
and eat properly. It would solve a lot of
Solve a lot of the outlying problems.
Well, that's fantastic. You've
Yeah.
been a wealth of information. Is there anything you'd like to that we haven't addressed stories or that we haven't addressed today that you see that get the word out?
Yeah, the other thing that's super important to incorporate in with a seniors program is flexibility, because that gives them, freedom of movement. It's, again, the silly things that you take for granted. It's hard for them to bend over and tie their shoes. Think about that as wow, that's hard. Also, making the bed. Or the other thing that I see on a regular basis is people backing out of a parking space and not having enough range of motion in their neck to look over their shoulder to back up. So sometimes they just back up and don't look, and then hope for the best, right? So
It's the Rancho Bernardo parking lot.
that's right.
The Vons and Rancho Bernardo. Love you all, but my car is.
Yes. I mean, I see that all the time. It's like, oh my gosh, they can't see. They're just going to barrel out of that spot. Good luck, everybody.
Susie, thank you so much for being here today, and good luck to your father. I wish him much luck and your rapid
And I hope your
recovery.
mom
Yeah.
keeps teaching 5 classes every day.
Yeah.
She's still going strong.
Yeah.
She doesn't have any injuries either.
Wow.
I mean,
Good
she's had a
for
little
her.
back issue.
Knock wood, knock
a
wood,
little back
yeah.
issue here and there that flares up.
Well,
But
she's
for the
entitled
most
to that.
part,
Good for her.
I assume she's over 69. So
yeah, she's 70. They're both 79.
79. There
They
you-
both turned 79 last year. I shouldn't be telling them that because I can't.
Yeah,
Now they
no,
can't
yeah.
watch the show.
Yeah.
I'm busted.
Susie, thank you so much. And
Thank
stay
you.
tuned for more Senior Stay or Go TV.